Jane Gallina is with us, leader at Ticker Talker. Thanks for joining us here on the show. In your notes, you described the current state of the markets as a bit of a deja vu. You're thinking about a year ago, last February. What is it that you're comparing?
Well, thank you, Nicole. Yes, looking at it, last January, I do also follow some of the dark pool prints. And when we saw last January, we started to see that there was heavy price action happening on the SPY, the Qs, IWM, and DIA, the ETFs for the indexes. We saw that we topped out in January, and then we had a minor correction, which does happen seasonally the end of January, but this year it happened closer to that last week of January. We quickly rebounded from that, and now we are setting new highs. This goes right in line with the typical seasonality for the S&P 500, and we're looking at this. We could surge higher with stimulus as well. They could take us up into new highs. However, it does seem like there might be a little bit of indecision in the market still with the impeachment trials that are going on. We do have Fed Chair Janet Yellen coming on at 2 o'clock, Powell coming on at 2 o'clock today, former Fed Chair Powell coming on, that could create some volatility in the market. And also checking on the VXX, the VIX ETF, seeing that we really just have had this sideways price action, which we have not seen really since we saw the top back in 2011. So this might be setting up for that bigger correction again to happen in February.
So which sectors, for example, do you see moving higher, or if there's a correction here in the short term, how do you navigate through this?
Right now, I'm looking at those online retailers, the payment resources such as PayPal, also looking at the growth that's happening with the crypto space, with Bitcoin and Ethereum. We're seeing that a lot of larger companies are adopting these as form of payment. So I do like PayPal to continue potentially to the upside, up over 300. Looking at that Ethereum Trust, ETHE, to potentially head on up to 32 if we can break above that $22 mark for potential growth to the upside. Now, I think there might be a little bit more of a pullback down to roughly 19 area before we see that next wave up to 32.
Tell me about silver. Why are you watching silver closely?
Silver is amazing to me on the futures chart, on the monthly chart. We have a ginormous cup and handle, amazing. And it is setting up and slowly breaking out to the upside. Last week, we did have Wall Street Bets talking about all of the potential short squeezes and included silver in that. Well, the silver trade looks like it's been setting up for a long time, not just in relation to Wall Street Bets. And if we do have these stimulus coming out with $1.5 trillion, that will likely devalue the dollar, create a little bit of inflation. Likely the commodities will also rise in price. When we look back at 2008 and 2011, that time frame, we saw that silver tripled in value. So I'm very much liking this silver trade, potentially up to 45.
27 right now for silver futures at this moment. Tell me also about Bitcoin. You mentioned crypto for a moment. Bitcoin has pulled back a little bit today, didn't get to that 50,000 mark, though everybody seems to think it will. Where do you think Bitcoin's headed and why?
I think that you're correct. It didn't hit that 50,000 mark, likely because the larger whales probably said, you know what, I'm going to take my profit just before it gets there. And so when they stall the price action, the sellers took over. However, it is a lower float cryptocurrency, so it does have that potential to really move extremely to the upside, especially once we break out up above new highs. I think we'll likely see Bitcoin up into that 100,000 range this year because it is so low float. There are a lot of people buying into it to have some in their holdings, and that could drive the price up fairly quickly. It has pulled back. However, I think we might see it pull back to about 42,500. The $2,500 range does tend to hold fairly strong as support and resistance. So looking for those levels to hold, if it breaks down below that, down to the 40 level as a test, and then gain some more steam and continue on up to break 50.
Wow, and then you said 100,000 this year is a possibility. Jane, great stuff. We always love talking with you. Thank you so much, Jane Gallina, leader at Ticker Talker. Thanks, Jane.